Well, what do you know? We go from one Ingredients game to another. Welcome to Blaster Master Zero for the Nintendo Switch, published by Sunsoft, because, yes, Blaster Master is a Sunsoft property, and, well, they gave me permission to work on it, and I appreciate that. So anyway, in the near future on planet Earth, many kinds of creatures once coexisted on this verdant planet. But after countless wars and untold environmental destruction, the planet plunged into an ice age. Humanity was left with no choice but to migrate en masse underground. It's much warmer down there, don't you know?
I suppose so.
When the Ice Age finally came to an end, who knows how long after, humans began developing methods while they were living underground to one day restore their planet
Hoo-da.
lush green landscape it once was.
Okay, so someone hit the defrost button. They were like, okay, time to friggin' make like the mole men and get out.
During this time, a comet fell on the Earth. However, the progress of restoring their lost ecosystem was coming along well, and humanity was eventually able to live on the surface again. Not paying two minds to that one comet that fell on the Earth.
So is this like, real quick, so is this like summarizing the plots of previous Blaster Master games? Or?
Oh no, this game is essentially a reboot of the franchise. Meanwhile, enter a young man named Jason Frudnick, who being a genius in the field of robotic engineering, one day he came across a creature he had never seen before. A tailed frog. Very unique.
Froggy?
No records of this creature existed. By the way, are we looking at an engineering genius or a fucking anime kid in his casual wear?
It does look like that, the t-shirt. Anyway, Jason needed a friend.
And began to observe it closely.
What is happening?
But after some time had passed, Fred escaped. Not Freddy!
For he was possessed by the power of chaos.
Jason gave chase, and he observed Fred jump into a mysterious hole that appeared seemingly out of nowhere.
He can do that, apparently.
Oh, if only Frog... That would explain why Froggy kept escaping Big's grasp in Sonic Adventure 1. But Jason followed Fred down that same hole.
Well, now follow along with me and see how deep this froggy hole goes.
He eventually found himself in a cave deep underground. That's where he discovered a large vehicle. What sort of fanfiction are we reading, anyway?
The Blaster. Meanwhile, and then suddenly, Fred jumped inside the cockpit and managed to pilot the thing. No.
Oh, God.
That'd be amazing, like, if this was just... Anyway.
The door to the cockpit of Sophia the Third opened up. In order to bring Fred back, Jason hopped into Sophia the Third and set out on his adventure.
Our adventure is to save a frog.
More or less, yeah. So, welcome, ladies and... Oh, little did he know, the strange phenomena were only just getting started. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Blaster Master Zero for the Nintendo Switch. It's also available on the 3DS if you don't have a Switch, but I personally went with the Switch version because, hey, I had to find a way, some means to record it.
I mean, I guess it was gonna be like... I'll admit, I was a little iffy about seeing this game, because it's like, the Switch, capable of handling current-gen games, sort of. Like, friggin' Breath of the Wild, Skyrim, Odyssey, Splatoon 2, and then the quote-unquote new game released is a pixel game. It's like, I feel like this isn't the console for this, but we'll have to see, I guess.
Well, at the very least, I have a again, I appreciate being on the Switch, because again, I have a means of actually recording it, because if it weren't for that, this would have been 3DS exclusive, and you know how 3DS recording goes in this day and age.
True.
So don't mind the fact that Jason here is pretty much monologuing over his adventures to find his frog. Better still keep my guard up. Never know what could still be here. So yeah, welcome to Blaster Master Zero. Pretty much a reboot slash reimagining of the original Blaster Master for the NES.
Ooh, oh jeez. So
you are primarily in control of your tank, Sophia the Third, and I will say, to NT Creates' credit, they did some seriously great modernizing of this NES classic. I mean, the sprite work is fantastic. The controls on this thing is a lot better handled than it was in the original, where you only had to deal with like a D-pad and 2 buttons. Well, right. I guess 4 buttons if you have to start and select, but that doesn't really matter.
Does it work? Does it work well with an analog stick?
It works fine enough with an analog stick. I mean, considering how what's the word? Loose this thing controls, it works fine enough.
Okay. Let's see. So, what are our meters here?
Okay, so we obviously have our health meter on the left, and on our right is the blue special meter. Fred's signal is definitely being transmitted from the forest area. Receiver was being displayed on the monitor.
Thank you.
I guess I'm pretty lucky that Sophia has a functionality like this. With the receiver, I'm able to get a general area of where Fred is. I wish. I can't help but wonder how Sophia can track his signal, though. Then again, I don't really know how anything in this machine works yet, and yet we're still piloting it like a champ.
So what I don't get is we're alone. Why do we have to think out loud some things, but think quietly other things? Like, oh, we can't take this down a ladder.
No, we can, which means we're gonna have to get out of the fucking thing.
Oh, look at us in our little Sentai Ranger suit.
Oh, ain't he precious?
Crawling along. So
he's the most badass oh. Well, and thus ended the adventures of Jason Frudnick. I'm kidding.
Apparently, ladders still can kill people in the year 20XX.
So yeah, basically, as a carryover from the original NES game, your tiny little anime protagonist cannot jump from very large heights. In fact, if he were to jump from, say, that platform atop that cave, he would die.
Wow. Whoa.
He's pretty weak-kneed, but anyway.
This looks new.
Okay, so this is actually another carryover from the original game. Blaster Master was pretty much split into two sections. You pretty much have the overworld sections, which is pretty much a 2D game where you're piloting your tank, and well, on the very rare occasion you're taking control of your pilot. And then you have the underground sections where you pretty much take full control of your avatar character, and who has he has a multitude of blaster options as well as a few bomb options. Now, in order to get some of these blaster options, you have to actually pick up these red bazooka-like thingies to get more bang for your blaster.
Alrighty, this reminds me of Contra, like the top-down section from Super Contra.
Woohoo! We got our map. Now we don't have to worry about putzing around all over this place. Now, unfortunately, these maps are only exclusive to their respective worlds because Blaster Master Zero is comprised of at least, I'm trying to remember, 9-10 worlds-esque. And, which is a pretty good deal, considering this game costs, like, again, just like Mighty Gun Volt Burst, after it.
Oh.
Ow.
Wow.
Well, that, my leg. But anyway, just like, Mighty Gun Volt Burst after it, because, actually, this game came out just relatively after the Switch came out. This game cost $10.
Okay. That's actually really not, for what I'm seeing, this actually is looking pretty good.
Mm-hmm. And even then, like, nowadays, it should be said, ladies and gentlemen, I recorded this relatively early on, like, when I owned this game. Like, I want to say it was around April, or... Actually, let me check. Oh, yeah, I recorded it in March. Jesus Christ, like, roughly around the same time it was released. So terribly sorry we're getting to it this late. But anyway, as of this recording, there's actually been a couple of DLC stuff that has been released for this game. For example, the most notable of which, you can actually purchase additional character campaigns. Now, you may be wondering who those characters are in question. They're actually some of Inti Creates' more prolific characters, including Zero Striker Gunvolt and Ekiro from Galgun.
Alrighty.
Now, unfortunately, there used to be a point where you can get those for free, but that was only like a trial period. So now you have to purchase them for about $2, which honestly isn't a bad deal considering you're practically getting a new campaign with these characters and controlled relatively differently from good old Jason here. For example, Gunvolt has his septimal shield thingy from the Zero Striker Gunvolt series, which is actually rather nifty. Like you could tag onto enemies, and then you could electrocute them with your shield thingy, and all said and good. Ekiro, on the other hand, she can hover in the air, and I think she has a charge shot as well, but don't quote me on that.
Okay.
And what else am I trying to say here? Actually, one advantage that they both have over Jason here, they don't suffer fall damage at all.
Thank goodness.
So if you want to cheese this game in a certain way or another, buy those DLC packs, because they actually are pretty nifty. Especially with Gunvolt. Only downside is that, I will say this much, while they're much better than Jason on the overworld, in the underground I do think Jason has a bit more of an advantage because, his max blaster level is kind of broken.
Oh?
I'll show you guys what I'm talking about a little later, but basically, like, once we reach level 9, you pretty much have this spread shot slash blaster that can go through walls or enemies and all that stuff. It's pretty destructive.
Nice. Well, I mean, I'm cool with that. I always like the spread shot of things. Oh, jeez.
Ouch.
So, now, I guess the other thing I was going to ask is, when we're actually outside as Jason, I'm assuming like normal things in the overworld do more damage to us since we're not a tank.
I believe so, yes. I mean, do you see the size of those fuckers?
Right, and now I'm looking here. What is the... So the green dot and the red ticks, that's actually referring to separate vehicle... Like, those are separate weapons. Like, what does each weapon actually do?
Each weapon has pretty much its own attributes or whatever. Like, for example, you got a shield, a little shield shot there. I guess that's good for what it's worth. You have a spread shot. You have a type of shot that just goes through walls or whatever. And like I said, level 9 pretty much just breaks this game in half. So with that said, this doesn't happen in all of the underground sections, but more often than not, you'll come across a boss fight. Now, sometimes they're mook rushes, other times they're actual mini-bosses, and then you get to the big meat themselves, which gives you the means of actually progressing through the game.
Oh, okay.
I mean, outside of that, you normally get stuff like minor enhancements to your tank, as well as a couple of extra bomb options, which are pretty nifty. And then obviously earlier you saw that you can also get a map, which is nice in itself. Okay, the electric power is actually pretty interesting because it kind of yeah. See that? It pretty much works in a similar way to how Gunvolt's susceptible shield works if you were to tag an enemy and then shock them. Pretty much the same deal here, except it actually shocks more than one enemy, and you also got a flamethrower.
Nice.
For being a level 8 weapon, it could use a little more punch.
Right, I kind of like the Arcane Lightning more.
And now we got a game breaker.
Oh, this thing is awesome.
It's amazing, and if you know what you're doing, you rarely, if ever, have to worry about losing it.
Do you lose it for taking damage, or...?
Yes, you actually do go down. Your gun level does go down if you take damage. However, there is an upgrade you can get later on in the game. I don't remember where you get it from, but basically it'll protect your gun level. It'll protect your gun level if you get hit once, and then the shield itself will have to recharge. So long as you just take one bit of damage and then wait a little bit without taking any more damage, your gun level will remain the same.
Ow.
Yeah, it can be this. If you know what you're doing, this game's difficulty level can go down in half if you use the right customization setup. Unfortunately, the likes of Gunvolt or Ekro don't have those kinds of perks. So again, they do have a bit of a harder time while underground, but not by that much.
Alrighty.
But to make up for that fact, like again in Gunvolt's case, you can actually go through a good chunk of these overworld sections without even having to ride the tank itself. It's a little slower, granted, but it does provide a different gameplay experience than you would, like, say, if you were playing as Jason outside of his tank.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, if you have the bucks to spare, I would recommend getting this game as well as the DLC packs for them. They're something else.
But now, would you say this works better on 3D? Oh, they actually kept the detail that if you shoot that into water, it will electrocute things in the water.
Yep.
Now, so I guess, what would you say... nice. What would you say about, whether or not it'd be better on the 3DS or the Wii, or the Switch?
Honestly, there's not that big of a difference between the two, aside from the 3DS version obviously working with the double screen, so I think you have a bit of an easier time looking at your map, but that's, like, incredibly minor.
Okay.
Aside from that, yeah, I can't really think of any major difference. Okay, actually, I can think of one difference. Again, I was able to record it off the Switch.
True.
So, eat that, 3DS.
Now, any, like, sort of visual differences that the Switch could handle better than the 3DS could, or...?
To my knowledge, I don't think there is. Like, what you're seeing here is probably what you're going to get with the 3DS version anyway, but again, we're working with a rather simplistic art style. I should be saying graphical style.
Okay. Oh, I just noticed you're back to level 3. Does your blaster level reset upon new dungeons, or?
No, it actually does not. Basically, what happened is that I took a little too much damage and like a putz, and I ended up going down to level 3. I mean, otherwise, your gun level will remain the same regardless of if you leave an area or not.
Okay.
Which again can break this game's difficulty in half. But yeah, other sorts of specials you can get in these dungeons. Like again, like there's the bomb upgrades. Like you can get a flashbang or stuff with I can't remember the other ones off the top of my head, because again, I only really use like 1 or 2 of them. When I'm playing this game, I primarily do use the guns. Ow!
Okay. Oh, jeez.
Damn it, that was my favorite. Well, actually, I'm kidding. Again, favorite's still level 9, but,
What is the minimum level? Like, is it possible to take enough damage that you only have access to your level 1 gun and nothing else? Oh,
I don't think anything will hurt you so bad that you revert to level 1. That'd actually be kind of dickish if that were the case.
Right, because then in that case, it's like you only earn back your guns by proving you didn't need them in the first place and could kill something with a level 1 blaster. It's like,
I could be wrong, but I think one of the DLC packs you can get for this game might be a much harder version of the game. Now I don't know if that's you have to buy it for free or what, but I do think there's a harder version of this game through that means. Don't quote me on that though. I only really remember the character DLC.
all right.
And if that were the case, then I could totally see that working where you, like if you get hit once, you revert back to level 1, in which case you're screwed. Well, okay, I wouldn't say that bad, because I don't think there's a point in this game where it gets especially dickish, but it can get. I think the worst that this game can get is repetitive, or not so, or repetitive or tedious. Like it can drag really badly if you have a really bad setup.
I was gonna say, do we ever get any mobility upgrades, like that says move faster, or?
No, this is about as fast as you're gonna move with Jason. There are some mobility upgrades, but they're primarily for your tank.
Okay.
Like for example, you can pretty much give it the ability to hover / double jump if you have the right equipment. There's also an attack module you can give it, which can also be sort of considered fuck, I forgot the word already. But oh shit, Logan, you know what this is?
What the heck is that?
Some giant mutant? Damn it!
This is not your kiddie's grandma game.
It's the Force Destroyer, Mother Brain!
What?
Yep, Mother Brain with game hopping.
Legit. Oh, Jesus. Oh, that's a little different.
I told you this thing's a game breaker.
I guess I should ask, are there any other villains that game hop, or this is just a name?
This is like it's just a naming thing. Actually, the funny thing is, I think that Mother Brain is technically the name of the boss in the original Blaster Master itself, and I think that's the reason why they stuck with it. Okay, well, it's dead now. Defeated is the monster. Now we must hurry before the planet explodes. Fuck!
Dun 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 dun. No, Hyper Shot.
The Hyper Shot. With this pretty much powers up Sophia's main weapon, so now you can pretty much destroy certain blockades and enemies you couldn't before, which is nice.
So it's kind of like a Metroidvania as well.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what this game is. It's a Metroidvania. Like, you pretty much can go anywhere you want, and within the world itself, assuming you have the proper upgrades for it, and you can pretty much tackle these dungeons in just about any order you want. Though I will say, the only downside you have with this game, which I think is also carryover from the original, there are certain cases where I feel there's a dungeon or two which feel completely unnecessary to go through, but you just go through them anyway. Looks like Fred's signal isn't coming from the forest area anymore. Let's see, looks like it's coming from some kind of residential area. That is actually pretty close by. Okay, let's go get this show on the road. So, other things I probably should mention about this game, because I won't be able to, because I stopped right after I get to the second world. There's a second character you meet up with in the game. Her name is... damn it, I remember... What was the name? I'm gonna look it up on Wikipedia, because she's actually an important character. Blaster Masters...
Meanwhile, we're using the lightning power up here to dispose of some mines beneath us, and we made it to a little highway. To go further into the core, I guess.
Welcome to what used to be human civilization.
So it's like each area you're going deeper into the world.
I remember now. This is the world where you actually meet up with the game's secondary protagonist, Eva. Now, yeah, she's pretty much the token damsel in this game. I mean, not so much like a damsel in distress kind of thing, but she does help. She's sort of your backup. Okay. But unfortunately not yet, because we still have to find her. There's some pretty interesting stuff that goes on between you and her, and one thing you can do in the game, while you're inside your tank and all, you can actually talk to Eva, and sometimes she'll give you hints on how to play the game. Other times she just gives you some neat little small talk, which is a cute little form of character development. But on that note, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for Blaster Master Zero, which, coincidentally, now that I think about it, Inti Creates made this. They also made Mega Man Zero. Coincidence much?
That would be nice if they did, but yeah.
On that note, ladies and gentlemen, I'm JamesmanXtreme.
And I'm Lucky Jack 20.
And if you like what you saw, give the game a whirl. Again, it's on the 3DS and Switch for about $10, and I would say it's well worth the price, especially since this game also has a new Game Plus. So, yeah. Till next time, guys.
Bye-bye.